If I get caught macinating, let's just put this straight up the fucking jeepers.
Counts of 4 gigs in my life, ever. You know, even when I had spinal surgery, I pushed that 2 weeks because the start time was supposed to be about a week after my spinal
Down, 1, 2, and go. Got shot fired in the West Wing. 19. It sounds show, but I am on the first, but you can go because you have not continued to the question last
So we're going to do an official taste testing here of the new Slipknot whiskey, which is out. And is this, how is this available online?
It's available online. It's also available at, I think there's a bunch of liquor stores that have started carrying it actually, because it has been reviewed so well.
Yeah.
And
all right. So it's
deep.
very cold.
Okay.
As you can see here, we're going to try this out. It's very cold, and a lot of people have been drinking from it, which tells you it's good.
Yeah.
So I've got it here, and it's Iowa whiskey. This is in partnership with an actual local Iowa distillery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we kept it at home. Yeah,
that's
very, very cool.
That is very cool. The bottle is very nice. I'm gonna buy one of these before I leave. Probably a crate of them. Surgeon General's warning. I'm gonna ignore that. But this looks very good. Now we're gonna try it.
Motherfucker. Basically, go buddy bump, 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 buddy bump,
It's really cool. This is very good. And this is my precursor. But I'm a whiskey fan. The problem is that when I start having Jack and Diet, then it's pizza time.
Oh, trust me. Oh, you're talking to an alcoholic. You think I don't know what pizza time is?
Yeah.
It doesn't include pizza.
Yeah.
You're getting a frog dog at 3 a.m. in Paris because you were dying of hunger.
Because it drives you out.
Anybody who doesn't know what a froggy dog is, a froggy dog is a foot and a half long hot dog in a giant bun that is then filled with chili and French fries. And you can buy it on the street around the corner from one of my favorite Irish pubs in Paris. Figured that one out. And then I threw this son of a bitch up.
Well, Number 9 whiskey is available now. I'm going to have a link to it in the description where you can learn more. The new album, We Are Not Your Kind, is out right now. Not Best Roadshow is currently happening in North America. Slipknot is going to Australia. Then they're going back to Europe. And you can go to their website and you can hit up all the places. Then they're probably going to come back to the U.S. eventually, hopefully. Who knows? And then they'll probably go to, like, I don't know, other countries, Russia and shit. Who knows?
If they'll have us. Yeah.
Corey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All good.
It's been awesome. All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. If you're new here, you can subscribe to Clawfeed.
Oh, you going Clawfeed?
You
going full Clawfeed?
I think I'm going to go.
Wow. I think you can get some calls.
Yeah. All right, thanks so much for joining us, guys. We'll catch you soon.
Hold on, he's texting. He's texting. Just sitting here on the bus.
Look, some of us work for a living.
With
I
texting.
don't know about you.
Thumb guy over here.
Fun guy.
Thumb guy.
Fun guy?
Thumb guy.
Thumb guy.
Thumb guy.
Yeah, well, you were impressed. Like,
I just fucking wondering where I was coming from, man.
Dad joke 101.
As you can tell by the dad jokes, we are on
Buds.
at the Not Fest Roadshow with Corey Taylor. I was expecting you to have all of the Slipknot stuff on.
yeah, I'm not yet. No, not yet.
Okay, so let's just the 1.21 gigawatts all the way back.
Yes.
So in about 2.5 weeks, it'll be the 20th anniversary of you and I meeting
Right.
and the 20th anniversary of the
Oh my
infamous
God.
toast.
The toes.
Okay, that's how long you and I have known each other.
Oh my God.
Now, back then, in that era of Slipknot,
Right.
you couldn't be photographed.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you lost your mask, you got killed.
We were at
It
that
was like
gig
a
in our
whole-
like all of our gear. Like,
Yeah,
it was
but we didn't
ridiculous.
have cameras around.
True.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
true. Yeah.
You still were wearing it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I was expecting you to have all of the stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's not
Listen,
time yet.
I did that for you. Okay, I did that for you because A, the smell never goes away.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to throw away the clothes that you're wearing.
Yeah.
B, it leaves marks. Like you might as well be branded by some weirdness. And C, I want to bring that up
I'm Christian Beverly,
to my
son.
home.
Yeah.
I want that
Marty
smell
McDougal.
here.
So we have some memories that we have to go over because
Okay.
our big 50th anniversary as a radio station
Right.
is next year.
Okay,
But our 20th anniversary is like in 2 weeks.
right.
Which is
right.
crazy that I've known you this long.
Very crazy.
I
We've-
got scar on my
we've
head
been through so
because I
many ups and
slept with
downs as well.
Chuck's wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not even just personally,
His
but
fiance.
career-wise.
Career-wise,
Yeah, it's just
absolutely.
Make me,
business over the
so it's
last
forced me to
decade.
become
Oh,
Chuck
Gone
himself.
everywhere.
Chuck White.
Infinitely.
So it started with the toe sucking.
Yes.
Then there was
Way more specific. That's how sad that is.
Yeah, so I forget what venue it was at, but we were in Florida because I had gone out on tour with you guys for like a week.
Okay.
And somebody pooped in a Solo cup, and then Clown wiped it all over his mask, the original Clown mask. And then you guys played a show and came out, and it was because there was still poop on the inside of the mask, and he was so mad that he had to smell his own poop the whole show that he destroyed everything.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's ringing a bell. I may have still been drunk at the time, but that rings a little bit of a bell.
Yeah, that was the poop incident.
Okay.
Then we were in DC and partied all night at the hotel.
Right.
And then Paul poured me into a cab.
Right.
And I got through security and on the plane and back to Boston and got a cab from the airport to the radio station and fell asleep, still drunk, on my boss's couch in his locked office. I don't know how I got in the office.
Wow.
He showed up for work, and there I was.
Right.
Just sprawled out on his couch. Now, to give him credit, he just closed the door and went and worked in the other guy's office until I woke up.
That's a good man.
And when he said, "What's the matter with you?" I just said, "Slipknot."
No
Exactly
sense.
what I did. He didn't even ask me any more questions than that. So there was that. I'm just trying to go over some of the stories that have happened in the last 20 years. Do you remember that first interview that we did at Local Bazooka? I interviewed all 9 of you. There's video of it on the internet.
Yeah, which watching it back, I was like, God, we're like chipmunks. We're like kids.
Yeah. And Sid was yelling through his gas mask, and you couldn't understand him.
No.
And you just kept yelling butt gravy in my ear.
Yeah. No, because you're meeting, you must go ample. You're not athletic.
And then you
ample.
On so many levels.
Here's color.
And just cut to the, it's all over YouTube, but he just grabs it and he's like, butt gravy, butt gravy.
WAAF's Real Rock TV.
Yes.
That's all you need to know.
Butt gravy.
You're someone's dad
I
now.
am so surprised that you still talk to me. Like, I don't know why this.
Well, now I come on your bus and you're like, would you like a fluffed pillow?
Yes, would you like a
You're
throw
making
pillow,
up
whatever.
for all of the weirdness
Yeah.
over the years. But you're someone's dad now. You went from the butt gravy dude to the dad.
I'm like a dad. Yeah.
Yeah, that has dad jokes.
I can
and
make
like,
gravy. It's not butt gravy. I make gravy now, and it's not butt gravy. I guess that's where we've gone on the dad scale.
And I remember the smell of that original mask,
Ugh.
which is what made me bring it up. Was
It's
you
awful.
talking about?
Yeah, we're
Do
talking
you
about.
still have all of them?
I have most of them. The first one is it melted.
Because
That
that
was-
was your original hair,
Yeah,
the
and I-
dreads, right?
And the first mask, I took the dreads out of that and stuck it in the next one, which was the butt gravy mask.
Yeah,
And I want to say it was the Cold Chamber tour.
yeah.
Yeah. Because remember, then we went and watched Amen, and that was in that club was when the toe sucking thing happened.
Yes.
Because we were wasted.
Because we were drinking Jaeger.
Exactly.
All the Jaeger. That was the
we drank
those
all
were
the
the- those were
Roz,
the
Roz,
Jaeger
you're 18.
years. Yeah, we drank all the Jaeger. Like all the Jaeger and whiskey.
Wow.
You know, there's certain things that
Get my discount.
really cement my sobriety. And just the thought of the smell and taste of Jaeger is enough to keep me sober for another 10 years.
Yeah.
Ugh. But that one, okay, so that one is still around.
Okay. The butt gravy mask.
It was, the butt gravy mask. It was in a bag that I had just thrown in the back of a closet. It's now
man.
on a mannequin's head
They
somewhere.
fucked me over on this
I
shit.
have one Iowa mask.
I want a free
which is on
app because I'm the
display.
only guy who completes all his limits.
But the other one destroyed itself. I started growing black mold. It was pretty gnarly.
Which you shouldn't have on your
Fuck,
face.
she's got busty ass, man.
I tried.
But there was a time when you had the one mask.
Fuck, she would squash you,
And that was
boss.
the only one you had. And now you've been
That's the
smart
one.
enough.
Oh yeah, I have two. I have two.
Fuck, that's a turn on.
And I have a separate one that I use sometimes.
Less than 5 miles away from you.
So that's
Who's showing your
I
clit?
I only like bringing two, because
Fuck, I'd go
it's
down
almost
there.
like superstition, like athletes and stuff. carry
So
one
they have the
jock.
same helmet.
Right, exactly. Same helmet, use the same bat. For me, there's just something about putting on the mask and knowing that that's the one. And I rotate it out because they start to get messed up, obviously.
Yeah.
But Mick's only got one. Jim's only got one. Clown has several, but they look the same.
Right.
And God knows when he's going to poop in a solo cup. And
Right. I
there
mean,
you go. Bob's your uncle.
Watch hot videos
I mean,
about partner service.
It's
How much is it to be a member?
And at our age,
$20.
it's not really good to start dabbling with too many bodily fluids anymore. You know, especially other people.
you got to look at it like you're lucky enough to have made it this far. Cut your losses.
Well, with most of the things in my face intact. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
absolutely, yeah.
I want to send her a message.
So when you were talking about it, before anyone had seen it, in my head, I was expecting it to be intricate and have all of this like detail.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, okay, where did that design come from?
Those are big
And what was the
breasts,
inspiration? Because it was nothing like I was expecting from you.
Yeah. I was, we were playing around with a bunch of different stuff, like we were kind of throwing stuff back and forth, but nothing had that kind of DIY look that I was going for, that I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I wanted, the way I was described is I wanted it to look like it was made in a basement, like it was.
I'll do it later.
Like someone had crafted it in a basement, maybe for nefarious reasons. You never know.
Yeah.
Like I wanted it to have that look of, and I wanted it to be really off-putting. Like you couldn't really look at it, know.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of that's how we got to
Yolanda,
that, was by kind of going, well, what would it look like if it was just like, what if you could just almost kind of see through it? So it's like you kind of see your face, but then not, almost like there's a movie called Alice, Sweet Alice, which is really disturbing. It's this little kid wearing this almost like a see-through mask, running around.
I'll do it later.
Killing people, and it was that really kind of inspired me.
Upgrade to
from
read
that
the
point of
message.
view, and then I would paint
my
my face underneath. And the cool thing was I could paint it differently every night.
Right.
And
Ouch!
I
felt like a clobber fucking came out of my ass.
Which took me in a completely different direction of people who had grown up with burns, and it actually resembles the mask, like the new skin kind of thing that they wear as the skin is healing. And they said that seeing me in that was very, I don't want to say liberating, but it was,
It made them feel not so weird.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I immediately was like, I kind of took it out of that horror book idea, and immediately it was more metaphorical and actually more in line with what the lyrics of the album was about. So it actually felt really good to be able to kind of have something that touched people in a way. And I know a lot of people didn't like it. I don't really care.
It was just so different.
Yeah.
But then when I saw the new coveralls, I saw the whole look of the record, then it made sense.
It made sense in
Yes.
context.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's sometimes people just have to see it to get it. It's one of those things. It's like trying to describe baseball to somebody. You try to describe that to somebody who's never seen a game,
cricket.
doesn't know exactly.
You understand cricket?
I understand a little bit of it.
I don't get it.
I don't understand the positions, like
the sticks. I don't get the sticks.
Yeah, the cricket. Well, those cricket bats are dope though.
No, the ones in the ground.
Serious. Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that.
That's I mean, don't talk to me about that.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
can't get
it's
into cricket. The whole thing.
We can't do cricket.
But all right, so let's talk about the album, because when I finally got my hands on it, which you wouldn't send me a copy ahead of time because you don't trust me.
They wouldn't give me one.
They don't trust me.
I couldn't even get a Dropbox link. That tells you how bad it was.
Do you agree with me that sonically it's the best sounding record you've ever done?
Oh, absolutely.
Because
yeah.
This is an album that makes me want to buy really expensive headphones. You know what I mean? Because I want to hear everything.
Oh, it's absolutely a headphone album.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that that doesn't get lost in the translation of the song as well.
Right.
It's not to the detriment of the song itself.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I find out that there's all this other stuff that didn't make the album, and now you have this other album that's sitting around.
Oh, yeah.
that sounds like Radiohead?
Oh, that's from like 11 years ago.
Okay, so where is all of? Do you just have a vault?
Well, yeah.
Where is all of this other stuff?
Well, obviously, you don't have it.
Yeah, because you don't trust me.
Well,
You should.
No, it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me, so there's all the music that's on this album.
Right. Yeah.
But then there's stuff that didn't make the record.
There's stuff that didn't make the record, but what you're talking
Are you going live?
is the unreleased stuff that we had from the
Holy fuck, I've been live for 20 minutes. I didn't fucking notice you guys were over there.
That
Yeah, fucking. Yeah, it's true.
Right alongside all of this
I got fuck book.
and I had kind of made an
And the
attempt
shit
to make
that
some
I've seen and
songs
witnessed,
work,
so far, from my experience, it's confidential, okay?
in a way to kind of bridge
Instead of doing
artistic
coding,
gulf that was going on.
classics.
There was a lot of tension, a lot of weirdness that was going on, and no matter what I did, it was really kind of about, I know these are my toys, I don't want to share them.
Gotcha.
So that kind of got shelved, you know. You fast forward 10 years. I mean, we've been trying to find a way to put it out for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clown, who's really the kind of keeper of it,
Ross was like,
is only going to put it out in a
putting
way
all
that's
this
comfortable
fucking heart
for
out
him
in
and
your
his
shit.
artistic
And
vision,
why don't you
and that's
release the
absolutely
first album that I
fine. I was
wrote?
just a cake,
Yeah.
not a cake, but a cog in it. Yeah. So it's looking like now they're going to actually be able to release it and make something really, really cool. So yeah, I'm excited, and it's got a very, I mean, it's texturally, it's so good, like really, really good, and it doesn't sound anything like Slipknot, and yet it is probably one of the most Slipknot things we've ever made. Let's put it that way.
Right.
I've been talking to a lot of bands lately. The Disturbed guys, the Godsmack guys.
Yeah.
I talked to Jonathan Davis here just a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to say the same thing to you. All of you guys kind of came up right around the same time.
Yeah.
You've all gone through pretty famous ups and downs when it comes to relationships within the band.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're all at this place that all seem like you're more at peace with each other and creating better music now than you were at the beginning. Is that how you are too?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it just takes kind of going through that, like, personal turmoil,
or what,
to be able to kind of find a happy medium.
Yeah.
You know, but I will say that I'm more susceptible to and open to new ideas now.
Yeah.
You know, which I think you have to get to a point in your life as an artist, because for the most part, as an artist, you tend to cling to your ego, and it's my idea can only be, well, that's because we don't work together. You haven't seen it.
I mean, someone else for you to know.
Almost across the board have to have that.
I bought a coffee, and I never looked back. I drove a collie around Dallas, Wisconsin night.
And the sad side effect of that is feeling like your idea is the only idea.
Yeah.
And that's tough sometimes, you know?
Well, sometimes the band, I've heard numerous people tell me the same thing, that the band relationships is a harder marriage than their wife.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
By far. Because sometimes you can find that compromise with a mate because you are, and 9 times out of 10, that's a completely different
I keep a nickel in the bag just in case someone asks me for dough.
Like a band.
No, sell it to them for $1 and use that nickel. And whip it so hard in the ceiling, like you're gonna throw it to outer space, throw it as far as you can, and wish so deep and magically that some magical way appears, you become normal. Me, I can't do that. I need pollution to survive. It used to be food. Food used to keep me alive. All of a sudden, I have to do drugs 9 months sober. Ross doing drugs. Ross going back and forth, 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 all over the fucking town, looking for this, looking for that, looking for this, looking for that. And then we all big, full of items, a whole business collage that. I knew it again. He used me to get to those dudes, to get those people not arrested, but confiscate all the shit just for one thing and one thing only. Are you ready to go to Iowa with us?
Would do that for free. It's the 22 hours we spend away from families. We spend with people who maybe those relationships have burned each other's out.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough. It's
annoying
hard.
Radio people you
it's
have
hard
to talk
time.
to
Let me
every
tell you
day.
about these people with their purple hair and their attitudes and their programming, and I'm like, whatever, dude. I don't want to hear that anymore. Just get your foot out of my face.
So 20 years later,
Yeah.
you're sitting here, still a band,
Still a band.
with a #1 album in 17 countries.
10.
10?
It was top 3 and like all over, like everywhere else.
Yeah.
I think #3 was like the lowest it went, actually, which is massive. Like it was bigger than our last album. So yeah, it was pretty good. Not to
For
mention
a
the fact
super
that we
winner
didn't
ball,
have one single to go
I'll
with
put
it. It was
all the
just
money in a ball of
us
cash and I'll put it
putting
up
an album out
for a lottery.
on top of
It will be exactly $97.33. Don't ask why 12 nickels is 33 cents. If you can guess how much this is right now,
I was so
on
certain.
October 27th, I will choose a winner for those to spend on what it is, for whatever it is. If you can get the lucky number of 1 to 1,000, 2009, the actual number, the closest winner will be revealed after the bet. Let me count how much I got here. One skin for a winner, too.
We're very lucky, and I'm
Three skins to kind of
we are. Yeah, like, and by them I mean the band, because sometimes you gotta
Just kidding, I won already. But yeah, there is a Joker poker table too. This.
Oh, absolutely. I'm one of the first to go, oh yeah, I should probably shut up. So it's it's tough, man. It's knowing your ego and knowing where you're at and knowing that
What happened to saying all right?
at this point
3 times,
we're
20.
very, very grateful for everything that everybody's ever done for us, We work our asses off, but at the same time there's so many
You got no time for that, and you got no time for that, and you got no time for that, and you got no time for
There's a
that.
guy outside the window right now that works for you that's trying to tell you to shut up.
Does this mean keep talking?
Yeah.
No?
He's trying to tell you to shut up.
This is what I'm paid to do. Dude, that's great.
You have to go get ready.
Yeah, I gotta see it. Yeah.
I'm so excited to see the show.
Well, I hope you dig it. I mean, it's it's the mature Slipknot, but it's still nuts.
There's no such thing.
That's very true.
You're
That's
only-
actually,
Honey, you will always only be 2 steps from butt gravy.
Who wants me to spell orange in the forehead?
pithy retort for that. That's where you head.
I love you.
I'm only 2 steps away from butt gravy. That works on so many levels.
So many levels.
All right, there you go.
Thank you for hanging out with me.
It's all good. It's good.
Congratulations on the record.
Thank you.
And I'll see you up on the stage in a few minutes.
Ugh, you'll smell me.
Great.
Uh-huh.
Butt gravy!
Butt gravy. Not only do we want to make great music, but we want to make great music that takes people out of a comfort zone. Every high school generation, there's going to be that kid who doesn't know it yet, but like we're his or hers culture. They have one common goal, and that's to be the biggest band on earth. With my face against the floor, I can't see who knocked me out of the way.
In 16 years, they've been one of the more controversial bands in metal. They've faced death without self-destructing, and now they've returned to the UK. Slipknot are back. Daniel P. Carter from The Rock Show on BBC Radio 1. I've been into Slipknot's music since they first came out of Des Moines, Iowa, some 16 years ago. But like everyone else, it was their image which first struck me. 9 members in masks and boiler suits. I think my first impressions of the band are pretty much the same as everyone else's, where you see them and you're like, is this a gimmick? Has it got any substance? Is it legit? And then you actually hear the band and see them play.
Time's flying by for
And
me.
then it all makes perfect sense.
I got one option and one coin. What's in my
Now, on their
fist?
5th record,
If you get
.5,
right,
Grey Chapter,
I'll get
the band are
you
seeing
the
more
money
success
you
than ever
need
before, playing to
to
another
get your own
generation
house
of
and
fans
apartment.
with massive UK
Now
arena
guess,
tour.
when open, you shall
I'm
receive
heading backstage
these
on the final
messages.
show in Birmingham to check out their new masks, get exclusive access to
Now
their
hold on to
backstage
your money
area,
to your left hand. Dies
find out
again.
how they've kept things
Hope it
together
turns
after
into
the
change
passing of
and the
founding
best
member
is inside.
Paul Gray. Sitting down with me is singer Corey Taylor, guitarist Jim Root, and percussionist Sean Clown, aka Clown.
Take it away, Dan.
That makes it instantly feel like that there's something important about to happen. Made waves in the burgeoning new metal scene, but today this is a band also realizing that they're now elder statesmen of metal.
You know, I asked my wife, been married a long time, you're my best friend. I need a fucking straight answer. I'm like, am I, in this life, going to be known as the clown? In Slipknot? She just looked me right in the face and goes, yes, get over it. And I was like, basically, I guess I just found out that I started a pretty big band. And I'm in a pretty big band.
And it seems like we've influenced so many different bands. I mean, Christ, those kids from 5 Seconds of Summer were wearing Slipknot shirts. And I'm like, really? What?
Yeah.
But then, hey, why not?
You're one of those bands that just seems to transcend the genre.
Which is strange when you think about the kind of music that we make. It's relentless. I mean,
Yeah.
it is just go, go, go.
You know,
But that shows you the kind of world we live in. You know, where an extreme band like us can have such a, I hate to say it, a mainstream appeal. What does that say about society? You know? It's insane.
The band didn't always have crossover appeal, but ever since the chaos of their shows in the late 90s, they've always been notorious. The aggression of their debut record, their use of samplers and scratches set them apart. They were impossible to ignore.
We were such dicks back then.
I expect my head.
Younger
That's my dad.
dicks back then. We had serious conversations about breaking up the first album because it was just like, well, where do we go from here? You
I'm
know,
keeping this
does it
20.
get better than this?
Why? It says byte
Wow.
66 to
We
31
were like
68.
serious as
I
like
know you won't remember that, so I'll show you right now.
Sex Pistol style. Screw you. That would have been brilliant, you know. And then, but then I think about it, and it's like we wouldn't have had Iowa. Iowa, we had, you know, Volume 3, which was us kind of, you know, expanding even further. But I wouldn't have thought years ago.
Let's just go
that
to
we would still be
25.
doing this, you know, at this level. The pinnacle for us was selling 200,000 albums and being able to tour.
You don't know who Pokemon is.
It just exploded. In a good
Fuck,
way.
I'm broke.
Right from the beginning,
All the money I got
Slipknot
goes
set
to
the
straight to
terms
death.
for their art.
And long story short,
Instead of being just a band, they
might have to go to the food bank.
themselves as a
No one wants to go to the food bank, but
Other
I'll
artists
fucking do it.
have fans.
Top just about
Their
it.
followers are affectionately
Oh,
known
wow,
as
wow,
fans.
wow, 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 wow. I'm keeping this 5 for safety.
It's the kind of band that you can't like casually because we've got like they have their own sound and their own image and their own fan base, and it's just like it is a whole experience.
We all like different things, but Slipknot brings us all together, sort of thing. It's like the one band that will pay whatever money to see. It's like what Klaus said a few years ago. It's not a band; it's more of a culture. If I did have Slipknot, I don't know who I'd be without it.
Honestly, hands on heart, I would die for Slipknot.
Everyone says, "Oh, you don't look like someone who listens to metal." But people have a preconceived notion that anyone who listens to metal is going to have like the big boots, spiky jeans, always wearing a metal type of leather jacket. It's just, yeah, like I'd say, open your mind more.
As Slipknot fans, we identify and are called maggots. Maybe to the outside world, it would look like a bad thing because maggots don't necessarily have positive connotations. But they've always said that we're maggots because we feed on the dead flesh of society. Basically saying we are fringe folk and we're happy with that.
My girlfriend isn't into Slipknot or anything, and she always says they're disgusting and always says this and that.
When I first listened to them, I'm sure as anyone else would be, they would be like, not too sure about that. The more I started listening to them, I just felt like I could relate to them more, and I wasn't alone, if that makes sense. Like, they just turned my world upside down, like, in the best way possible, obviously.
Slipknot's new support has been inspired by Point 5, The Grey Chapter, their first new record in 6 years. The 2015 tour in support of the album has seen tens of thousands of fans descend on arenas from Glasgow to London.
It really only is about those kids in that stage. I like making records. I like making videos. I like living in LA. I like travel, but it's all about playing live. When you come over to like the UK and to Europe, you get a different vibe from the crowd. When they get jumping, the entire crowd starts jumping, which you don't really get much of that in the States.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm calling down
way every show we've done.
It's going to be unbelievable tonight.
Living a kid's dream.
Yeah,
playing with Slipknot. And it's a mature subject to read. Like it's not just a kid's dream. It's going to be more mature about paying your debts, your fines, your causes, your band members, surgeries, everything. You have to be one and struck in one unit. And there's two, Slipknot, and then Queen Stone. You can still be next to it.
Out of control. And that's kind of the reason that we wanted to do such an elaborate tour of the island as it was.
How about I give
kind
you
of helped build us in a way.
$20?
And obviously coming back and playing Wembley was unreal. You know, I mean, all these people are talking about being at the Astoria in '99. Yeah. Now people will talk about being at Wembley in 2015.
So this is our award right here. And in the old days, we would sleep on the floor, dress, shit, shower, do all in this single room.
All in a single room.
Wash our shit, dry clean our shit, bleach our shit. We stink. We are filthy.
I'm trying to make an illusion.
This is our bathroom.
Money man.
This is where I shower. This is where I go to the restroom. This is where I put on our makeup. This version of black, or this version of black, or this version of black, or this version of black.
These are leg braces, so I don't destroy my legs. It's a cradle for your head. When you pump it up, it slides up, pulls the vertebrae in your neck apart.
Advil, Aleve, Pepto-Bismol.
This is a thermostatic. Give yourself deep tissue.
Applesaucer, coconut oil, vitamin C.
Bone roller, so this gets all the lactic acid out of my body.
I'm not fucking 30 anymore. I'm 45, and whether I like it or not, I need to fucking.
This is for whoever comes and visits me
after the show.
by 5 p.m. $25, take it or leave it. Just to hear my statement, where I've been, and why the time is the way it is, we'll review you, being a whole open book to everything I tell you right now. But you can't be a cop, you can't be a nurse, you can't be a doctor. You gotta be someone who knows covenant. You'll hear me explain why it is to age is no longer a difference. Say if I'm 102, change my name. I can't no longer be that senior no more. Let's put that.
Paul's boxers. This is my brother, man. That's all I can tell you. Like, how you doing, man? That's Paul.
It's little things.
Bad guy.
So it's just that shit. It's not gonna change. Can't.
Where'd my Pepsi go?
Paul was found in a hotel room in Des Moines, having died.
You want me to spell brown in my orange hat? I'll spell brown. Right here, my friend.
He was everything that was wonderful about this band, about this group of people. The only way I can sum up Paul Gray is love.
People speculated that the band wouldn't be able to recover, but after touring, they got back to
Brown.
writing again in 2013.
Bro, you got
And the
brown
resulting
tattoo, my
album
friend.
is a tribute to Paul's memory.
I was given this nectar.
A legacy of a person who was a huge part of this band, who breathed and loved this band so much that, you know, to let all that stuff fly by the wayside would be a
One
great
done and
waste.
missing.
Yeah.
You know, of,
Why? Because
of
it's
the
not for
legacy
sale.
of a fucking awesome
cock
human
ring.
being, you know? And that's something that drives me.
It's my cock
Nothing
ring.
else we owe to him.
Check it out.
This was really the first time
Woof. Woof.
I realized that we were all carrying these strange versions of guilt. You know, like, was there more I could have done? Was there more I could have said? Was, you know, should we have pushed more? You know, I mean, survivor's guilt is a hell of a thing, but it became very open and very emotional, you know. And
I hear you talk about propane and
get to the
propane and
point
propane.
of making this album.
Why microwave the pizza? What's the matter for you? Don't microwave the pizza. It turns into sourdough with the dinner. I don't care if it was crispy or blackened. Not microwave full-size pizza. No, we're clear. Let's get this off the record. Stop recording. All right. I'll tell you what. You give me $2, I will show you my backside tape to my tape collection if you can make it into Sony, BMI, any records from this to my soundtracks. And if it's never been done and it was a dream, then fuck it, I'm gonna live up to my dream. I got dreams to look forward to.
But by channeling what they've been through into their music, they've made even more people identify with them.
Growing up, I was encouraged to be a certain person, and I wasn't happy with the way that was going, but I didn't really feel I had the courage to step outside of it. And I think having the support of like the fan base and also just feeling supported by the band because they care about their fans, they're very vocal about that. Helped me to like.
Oh, I'm Smokey the Puff. If you puff me, I'll go blah blah blah. Now, as I decease to this day, I will teach you a lesson. You will be immediately into play. If you do not stop where you're going, you must finish me first before you make a bow.
It was a relief to half an hour straight and just forget about the world.
From the new generation of maggots to those that were there back in 1999, tonight in Birmingham, this arena is completely rammed. And everything about the return of Slipknot has been meticulously planned and executed. From the music and stage show to a new set of marks.
Do I wear a thick paint on eyebrows? Michael Bixby will kick my ass if I look like him, man. That guy's fucking beast.
Losing Paul and then all the struggles that we've had. Obviously parting ways with Joey to kind of, you know, explain the last 4 years of, you know, putting on a mask, but then not completely feeling like myself. It's almost like wearing a mask to put on a mask.
I'll tell you what.
I wanted this.
You make me a song,
as far as
I'll perform it. Wherever it is, whatever it takes. It's gotta be decent though, man. It can't be some fucking slob shit, fucking slob and log and put a fucking drum together. It's gotta be real hard rock. Real hard rock song. If not, then I'm just gonna use my same old material over and over again. Hippo the Bob, Bob the Hippo, Bob song, Bob leaves and Bob Lee, Bob the Hippo bubbly. Till it becomes centigram.
I like to say things like we're way beyond the friendship point. I don't think any of us are really friends now. I think we're really brothers now. You know, we don't see each other all the time. We don't call each other up. We don't go to each other's birthday parties, but we probably kill for each other still. definitely would kill for each other still.
All right, boys, bring it in! This town has a serious history when it comes to our show. We've always shown respect. But we've written it. We make our own fucking path. If this tour is anything from what the rest of the year's got, we are about to fucking destroy this motherfucker.
1175.
It's a fuck fighting him on 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7.
It's my only proof that I'm Agent Sergeant. It's my name card. Margie Largia. Notice it has a new signature. Hasbro. Fuck it. If I have a distortion guitar and I can't find one, I'll fucking by all means, the fucking recording story. So keep this a secret, and this will touch, and this will happen to you and your palm push. You have the power to make things right. I'm gonna release my first album. Father God Protect, and We're Not Your Kind is my second album. Following with Bond 3. Let's say something in here. Simmons.
Sloppy noise. Can't understand the word.
I want to say Paul McCartney called us shit nut.
I don't know, because I don't really fucking care. Oh, fuck. Non-technical, garbage, shit, stinks, horrible.
I like to know exactly what shit sounds like.
If this is the future of rock and roll music, then I don't want to be a part of it anymore. The drums are totally lacking.
Dude, there's a whole Facebook page. It's Christians Against Slipknot. I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my crap life, man.
You read a better record and then go do it and then talk to me. You know, have fun at work on Monday.
Runs down the stairs of stones of me. I wonder how when you can see. Next time shall I wait and bleed? Video chat request.
Got intrigued by the dark side.
Fuck, man.
I guess I started listening to Maiden probably around 11 or so. But
there's so much celebrities out there. I don't know who to do. I'm gonna start off with Halle Berry.
Collection of vinyl. You know, they were kind of like extra kind of pothead sort of vibe around my house. So there was always a party going on, and there was always music playing. Everything from Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, to Bob Seger, to Pink Floyd, to the Rolling Stones, to the Who. Metal was just an evolution of some of the crazy guitar, like Johnny Winter, you know, stuff like that was really on fire. And that's what drew me to metal music was, you know, the technicalities of guitar. And I don't like, you know, being genre. Obviously, you know, we're a metal band. There's no denying that. But I don't even really necessarily listen to metal. I find myself listening to the Beatles and Led Zeppelin a lot still.
Oh, yeah, when Slipknot was first put together, I can remember going, this is fantastic. It was a collage. It was a combo. It was an amalgam of all of these different styles. Slipknot basically just kind of took everything and shredded it up and made it what they wanted. And I loved the freedom of that. And I was at their very first live show as Slipknot. And I was front row. And it was so insane that I remembered saying to myself, and I'd never done this before, I was like, I'm going to sing for this band someday.
That's what the first album is all about, is realizing it's time, it's on, it's yours, it's what you've needed, it's what you've wanted, and now it's time. You've had your whole life to be what you finally have dreamt of.
I wanted to go heavier. I wanted to embrace something heavier because that was a lot like the music that I listened to, you know, everything from Metallica to Slayer to Ministry, like the hardcore Ministry sound, you know, like I loved that stuff. And I wanted to do more of that and also be able to incorporate some of the melodies that it felt like Slipknot was missing at the time.
Nothing.
Ross Robinson got a tape of the band, and as soon as he heard it, he was like, I want to work with these guys. So he was going to front his own money to do this band. You know, that's how much he believed in it and how much he saw the potential.
Ross was a great producer to have for a band that never worked with a producer before, because he is very involved with what you do. We didn't know what the hell we're doing. You know, we didn't know music business.
Yeah, most of us never left the state before, so
working with him was great though, because he was nuts, crazy, fun, and you know, always made you feel good to be there. And I remember Ross just had his headphones on and he was rocking out to a song, and I had this new Jackson guitar that they just made for me with this custom inlay and fucking, you know, quilt maple top and all this, you know, badass new $3,000 guitar or whatever, and he just drop kicked the guitar right out of my hands. And that's sort of his mentality. I mean, it's not about anything material or anything physical. It's about the energy that you create.
Ross's greatest asset was understanding how this band needed to be and how intense it was and how many moving parts there were inside the band.
Ross loved working with analog, and I don't know, I'm glad we did it. Like, it's a whole different kind of mindset when you're in a studio. You could play your amp in this room and it sounds like whatever, but then try to translate that through a microphone onto the tape. There's so much to that aspect of it, which it's challenging and it's fun.
We were all in my old apartment on 28th Street in Des Moines when we first got.
I wanna make you my pet flamingo. The muffin, keep me pumping, basting, moving. I know I love her. I know I love her. I love my way that I'm headed, but I'm moving, I'm grooving, I'm smoothing. I'm on the way to bust the groove and I'm busting moving. I'm gonna give myself purple highlights on my eyebrows.
That it was almost like an unleashing.
He was able to keep that intensity during the recording of each person, and it just kept that angst, you know, that, you know, pretty much sent us off, you know, on the road, just ready to kill, ready to take over the world.
The one thing that I love about what we do in these fucking masks, when these masks come off, you know you went for it. They're not nice. They're not made to be air conditioned.
I ended up wearing a bondage hood that was a size too small for my head. So my sweat was just filling up inside of this thing, and my ears were literally under water, under sweat. And it was, you know, I couldn't move, and it was pushing my jaw back, and it was just extremely uncomfortable.
The outside
this is my color.
the inside.
I keep this black for
Mask one.
Here my desk just
Barely see the eyes. Barely hear me. Creepy ass fucking.
This is
that
not
clown will
kill
kill you.
For it could kill
clown
you
doesn't
and
think.
get you what you need.
The clown doesn't care.
This is something
Careful
I'm right
with
about. And I
vodka,
think that's a little bit of the mentality of the band. It's just
Well,
really
it's
not
my
something
name.
right about it.
What's
You
your
know
name?
what I mean? I mean, none of us knew that it would ever have any sort of significance. You know, just kind of rolling the dice and wondering, is this going to work? Is this going to be a year? Is this going to be one album? Or are we going to be
Koala, so koala, go busted the body, the body, the body, the bucket, the body, the body, the body. I purple highlights.
It got so crazy after the Cold Chamber tour, which was our tour after that nobody wanted to take us out on the road.
I'm glad that I'm still and Puffman Bucky.
Well, the world is a vampire. Set to strain. If I console in my cold, China pain just enough for the pain. Hand me something, I'm just better. Hold me something, I'm just bleeding in.
Literally like a day or two after we got off the road from the first album cycle, you know, Paul was calling me up saying, "Hey Jim, you know, it's time for us to start writing the next record. We're going to go for it." And I was like, "Wow, really that quick?"
Everyone is in a different place. We've been around the world and back. Never thought we were getting off the road, and boom, got to write a second record.
We were going to take a little more time. We talked about taking a little more time, but I don't know, pressure being what it is, we decided we didn't want to be away too long. And I think it's important to not forget where you came from as a band, you know, but not to put out the same record over and over again.
We didn't want to do the typical follow-up where everything's watered down, everything's very commercial.
A lot of record label people wanted a lot, you know, more radio-friendly stuff. So that's when we decided to make the Iowa record and
You're making fun of me. I'm old, kid. I have a neck problem. I just bowed down and got stuck.
Turn it up to 1,000 as far as the darkness goes, the heaviness goes, the sonics and the just disgusting. Touched on. Like hail. That's what Ross does. It's scary.
I'm depressed. That depressed me. It's starting to depress me.
As I close my eyes,
slipping away. I want you to take yourself to a place that you're scared to go to, that you've never allowed yourself to go to. So I stripped naked and walked out to the middle of the big room at Sound City, and I did that song in 2 takes. That was it. It was probably one of the craziest experiences I've ever had. I cut myself up. I threw up all over myself.
You okay, man?
And you could feel that on the
Someone
album.
spelled brown for your forehead.
Moment.
Bro.
Second
I got a
time,
boga. I take off my
don't
belly.
talk to me.
Take
Not
off that
available.
jacket before someone sees
Not
you.
welcome. Get the fuck out of here. Look at my face. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you around. I have nothing to say. This is how the world feels. I'm part of the world. Deal with it. Not a good clown, for sure. That clown was asked to never come back, actually, by certain people. Volume 3, Subliminal Verses, Houdini Mansion, Rick Rubin. That's a lot right there.
That one's a blur, dude.
That one was a blur.
Volume 3 is actually, it's really hard for me to talk about, because that was the album I got so. And one day I kind of woke up and I was like, man, this isn't good. I need to figure it out or I'm gonna die. So I quit cold turkey in the middle of it and basically kind of had to start from scratch as far as like what I was doing vocally and what I was trying to say lyrically. I was starting to get a little more esoteric with my lyrics, you know, looking forward instead of backward.
Probably one of my most favorite times in my career, achieving this PhD known as rock and roll. Third clown, repairing. Repair from those two previous things. Those are animals. Third guy, coming back to life, a few more ideas, some different shit, some healing, a few more dances, a few more colors, a lot more saturation, chill a little bit, but still that guy. Those kinds of things all went into the process of making the record.
In between Iowa and Volume 3, I'd gone out and I'd done a Stone Sour album and tour cycle. You know, kind of brought it back together because I felt like there was something I wasn't getting to do with which was a little more melodic stuff.
Corey was out doing his thing. Joey was on and off doing whatever thing he was doing.
There was a lot of tension in the band. There was a lot of push and pull, and it was a hard album to make.
You know, people need to work different shit out of their systems. So it's like, if you need to go out and play with some other band and do something different than this, cool. Then come back and you're reset and refreshed, and we keep going.
Well, Slipknot's therapy for most of us. So when you don't get to go to your therapist for years at a time, things can build up. Once we get back together and start doing this, I can feel it coming. I can feel the whirlwind coming, and it feels good. It's a safe place.
To me, it's the metal version of the Avengers. To be honest, you know, we all come together when everyone needs us. No matter what the problems are that we have, no matter what issues or tensions or anything, we always get back to a point where the music brings us right back.
Volume 3 was actually pretty cool because we'd been away for so long. Like there was a lot of unknown. You know, like we were between management. There was different problems within the band and different things. And it was like we were finally able to come in and actually sit down and talk and figure shit out and all be together again.
We all ended up living together in this big mansion.
6.5 months, locked in a vacancy.
It was the old Houdini mansion up the Laurel Canyon, and yeah, lights would go on and off. It was evil. It was ghostly.
When I moved into the Houdini mansion, I had just gotten a mortgage. You know, I had a car
for free now. Get the
I
best
had
spot compared to being
I
all
had
time.
none at all.
Well, let's see if
You
it's
know,
open.
I was literally living on per diems, and I was almost
Is anybody
negative
watching
in my bank
this?
account. It was, you know, we still didn't know if we had a career at that point or not.
We hadn't been together like that in quite a while, so I think it was good to be in each other's space, you know, getting into the refrigerator at the same time, you know, living together in this world and creating some music and opening some doors with some new music.
I think it was more healing than anything else, really. And we got focused and we're fucking better for it, and yeah, made a good record. It felt really good. We were able to be really creative, and I think that's the first time our music started to kind of evolve, and we started to show another side of the band.
It was a big deal to work with Rick Rubin. He still understands the band beginning to end, and he always will. So he brought that same intensity to the band and really wanted to make a great heavy record with us and not, you know, basically sell out.
Rick Rubin is the only person who's gotten the band to say things. So he would sit us down and we would have conversations for the art. And he would get people to say things that they've never even said when we've had band meetings.
I don't know, I guess I never expected we were going to win anything. So in some ways, I kind of started to get the feeling that we were like the Leonardo DiCaprio. And I was young and angry too. So I was kind of like, yeah, fuck you, Grammy, fuck whatever. I think I used it as a doorstop for a while. And then I had it on the back of my toilet.
Fourth clown, debauchery. I invent the evilest thing I possibly could put on my face. Constructed of leather, cop shades, chrome meaning the
your name
merciless,
and picture
hat,
with an
put it
address.
all together, can't see shit, can't breathe, can't feel, can't do anything. Very painful. That was a personal pain. I lost my dad the album before and my mom the album before. And that's how I felt. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to do interviews. I just want to be in my own world and be reminded.
All Hope Is Gone was that was different. That was very different. That was probably the most disconnected and separated I've felt doing a record.
That's the only record, the only album done in Iowa, and it's my least favorite. No tension, no pain, just efficiency. Able to go home, able to sleep. That's not good. It's not good for what we do.
This album was just very separated. I was just kind of worried if we were kind of like saving too much money by trying to stay home, and maybe should have just gone out somewhere else like we had on previous albums. I don't even remember if we necessarily like jammed as a band before we recorded that record. It seemed a little more, it was a little more like DIY. Wasn't like working with Ross. Our producer at the time just could not seem to get all 9 of us in a room to actually play as a band. Joe recorded that album without anybody playing with him, drum-wise. And then we all had to go in and layer over what he had done. It's the least amount of time we spent on pre-production. Not one of my favorite records.
I just find it ironic that it was so hard to make and left such a bad taste in my mouth. And it became #1 on Billboard. It was just such an evil joke that something you barely could give anything of yourself to becomes #1.
Psychosocial! Psychosocial! You have a negative thing. You're going to use that as an excuse to do terrible things. If you're fucked in the head, you're fucked in the head. You got to take it from wherever you take it from. But I listen to the most extreme core horror stuff for a split second while I'm actually doing it.
Metal music has helped me so much not do things that are bad, or things that a teenage kid with angst, or even in my 20s. It was a great outlet for me to let some aggression go, relax,
Document.
Get that
I
out
don't
of
know.
my system.
How do I know that you're not made from the future? You made a very convinced story that you're me. You better get.
Use it to try and change the world. I can lose myself in a guitar and some recording equipment, and to me, that's a better way to lose myself than sort of, I guess, drinking my troubles away and forgetting about it for a night, because it's still going to be there. At least if my problems are still there after putting an arrangement together of music, at least I've something to show for it, other than a hangover and bad breath, I guess. I don't know. I help kids let go of some of the pain that they're holding on to. And if I get one kid to do something great with their life, and so be it.
As we started doing photos, I took my photos in this abandoned school. Just outside the hallway, there's a sign that said, "All hope is gone." Members of the band, mainly Corey, I remember, saying that would be a great song title and probably even better album title. I hated it. I'm as Slipknot as you can be. And we're pretty known for being against, but I'll tell you, even though life is hard, and I use pain as a paintbrush, there's always hope. I was confused with that until Paul died. Then it made sense. That's painful shit to have a foreshadowing like that. After that lesson, when I get vibes like that for things, all it does is remind me it could be a foreshadowing, and that's fucking scary. The 5th record, most beautiful epiphany. You have your whole life to first record. What I learned on our 5th was you have the rest of your life to do it again.
Who dares me to mark my whole face? I'll give someone
Each album
right yell all over my face
this circumstance for this album
and go on a date.
He wouldn't just write an arrangement and stick with it the way he first put it down. And I found when I was writing music in my garage,
nobody wants to convert your files to video.
Every part of the fretboard, different positions, You know, how does it sound if I
Wise
bar it? How does it
words.
sound if I move it up higher on the, you know, on the fretboard, lower on the strings, things like that. And I realized that's how Paul used to write. And I would lose patience, but Paul would just be in it, working through it, working through it, working through it. You know, I'm not a very spiritual person, and I always kind of scoff at people when they, you know, they're just telling you that your loved one's with you to make you feel better.
Well.
It kind of hit me like bricks. I kind of really felt like he was there helping me through the process. And, you know, that may sound how it works sounds, but